Very hard to follow the students. I mean, they were so eloquent, and even the one that said he doesn't really speak, all of them spoke so well. I think that all of us know that the students committed no crime, but there were two crimes committed. One was that they went to trial at all, and that the families and the community and all, everybody had to go through so much turmoil. And the second, of course, was the verdict. When I told people what had happened and they had read it online, they were, both tearful and angry. Outrageous is what people said. After 9/11, our community got together with the American Muslim community and realized that we needed to build a relationship and to understand our communities respectively. And one of the things is that our community is also is Christian, many different religions, Catholic, and also Buddhist. And Buddhists were very much marginalized during World War II. And that was another reason why the Japanese were so isolated, because that religion was so strange to most Americans. So that's kind of another thing that I think that, understanding different religions needs a lot of work. But there's a lot of lessons to be learned, I think, from this whole situation. And one is that, of course, our constitutional right to free speech is under attack. And that there needs to be more education in this country, maybe in Orange County especially, that we need to be much stronger in defending that right. I think the second lesson is that even though the DA may think that he won, then you never really are able to suppress the right to protest and to keep people quiet. You can't keep people silent from speaking out against injustice. From my own history, I've learned that even Japanese Americans, and I didn't learn this right away, I learned this in college and afterwards, that even though my own family was incarcerated during World War II and jailed in camps, we had many examples of people that protested in the camps against the food, against the labor conditions, against being drafted. Because they said, as long as you take our rights away and we're in camp, you can't ask us to serve this country. That's not right. You give us back our rights, we'll do that. So even behind barbed wires, people can protest, even if they're jailed. But this country had done a good job of isolating Japanese Americans during World War II, and before that, there was a whole terrible atmosphere of hostility, I think, which sort of mirrors what's going on now. And that the anti-Asian laws, the exclusion acts, all of that, really created an atmosphere of racism and hostility towards Japanese Americans, and we were isolated. It was very easy to target us, it was very easy to round people up, and it was very difficult to speak up. But, there were those heroes that spoke up. I think that Shaquille said something interesting in the LA Times article, which was, the verdict says that we are foreigners in our own country. And what's kind of interesting is that Japanese Americans, 2/3 were citizens during World War II. My parents were born here. But they were not called citizens, they were called non-aliens. They didn't want to use the word citizen when they put people in camps. And I just want to say that, our values, and I'm sure there are many values in Islam that will keep people strong. But one of our values was gaman, which is a Japanese word for enduring that which may seem unendurable, that you bear up under suffering. And that was something that we carry on today. But one of the things that the camps did do to our community was it did make us the quiet American for a time. And many of us, my parents, wanted us to be quiet Americans. They wanted us to deny that we are Japanese Americans. And if not for the Civil Rights Movement, for Malcolm and Martin Luther King, and all of the other heroes, if not for the African American community and the ethnic studies and the movement to learn about who you were and the right to be who you were, many of us would not be here today. Many of us would not have fought for redress. Many of us would not even feel strong enough to say, to support others. But I think that because we did, and because we learned from those people during civil rights and Asian American studies, we know that you cannot take that voice away from people. And, we will continue to support the American Muslim community And I think this case has actually awakened some things in our own community as well for us to relook at that responsibility to speak up. And the whole question of protesting. It is kind of an issue that people are not always that comfortable with. But, you know, it's something that every community has to deal with in different generations. And, you know, we had the same battle with our parents. They didn't want us to do protesting. They didn't want us to get in trouble. But, you know, thank God all of us did, and thank God that you did. Thank you.